management and medical physics for the IEA more than 20 years. And his talk today will be about for the best practice in radiation protection in nuclear medicine.
Greetings, everybody. It's a great pleasure to provide this talk, and I wish to thank the Director of Education, Steve Lassie, the moderator, Professor Kitty Watt, for this opportunity in presenting best practices for safety in nuclear medicine. So, my name is Soma, and I'm from Singapore General Hospital, and once again, the talk is going to be on titled Best Practices for Safety in Nuclear Medicine. A bit of history about my hospital. My hospital is about 200 years old. It's Singapore General Hospital. It had its humble beginnings back in 1821, and now we have about 1,700 beds, and it's one of the largest hospitals in Singapore. And the Newsweek magazine has named Singapore General Hospital as the top 7 hospitals in the world for the last 7 years. With that, let's move on to nuclear medicine. Practices varies across the world. There's a high complexity and limited harmonization of the various nuclear medicine departments and sections in the world. Of course, the goal is to have a universal standard of safety and quality, and the role of ISRRT is huge in promoting global standards for radiological practices in nuclear medicine in particular, because of the unique challenges of nuclear medicine compared to other imaging modalities. Thus, a harmonization of safety and quality practices matters, especially in resource-driven regions of the world. The core principles of radiation safety, I think it's just a recap for all of you. Basically, ALARA principle in hybrid imaging and therapy, of course, in theranostics, and as well as the production of the PET radiopharmaceuticals using a cyclotron, optimizing administered activity and imaging parameters inclusive of hybrid scanning, and of course not forgetting justification, optimization, and dose limitations, which is similar to radiology as well as interventional radiology. And the idea is to, of course, to protect the patient, staff, and the safety. And the key tools that we utilize across the radiology modalities are shielding, time, distance, and management, as well as in nuclear medicine, we have contamination control as well. The shielding of controlled areas and occupational monitoring, therefore afforded for the staff, would be of concern or would need to be done. And of course, the emerging concern would be staff doses in theranostics and the use of long axial field of view PET CTs, which requires a lot of patients being throughputed through the center, and that would give rise to a slightly higher dose, even though the initial injected doses per scan may be lower. Of course, the staff monitoring, shielding, waste handling, etc. would be of concern. And for practical dose reduction tips, we would look at in this presentation. Because of the length of time that I don't have enough time to go on to the patient as well as the environment. So I will focus basically on the staff safety in a nuclear medicine facility. The harmonization of safety and quality practices essentially looks at the frameworks guiding nuclear medicine practice, and they range from the IEA, the ICRP, and the professional societies, as well as the US NRC, ISSRT, professional standards, and of course integrating all of this with the local context, the local regulatory framework, depending on which region you belong to, APANSA in Australia, as well as regional and national standards and SOPs in your own country. Now, the harmonization of safety and quality practices is especially important in resource diverse regions where the radiation dose limits are similar across the world and the monitoring may be compromised. Prior risk assessment needs to be performed and best practices consideration needs to be enforced, especially following studies such as the multi-center studies like the AURAMED study of 2011, where the handling of radiopharmaceuticals, the dealing with spills, dealing with solid and liquid waste are looked at, the appropriateness of shielding for various radiopharmaceutical management, radiation safety program in NuclearMed, extremity radiation dose monitoring. Now, I'm not going to go through this slide. All of you know the values of the effective doses for both the body as well as the extremities like hands and feet, as well as the eye as well. Okay, so with that, we look at the monitoring of exposed workers. The external exposures need to be monitored either with the TLD or OSL, and of course in nuclear medicine, especially for those who deal with the radiopharmaceuticals on a daily basis, especially radiochemistry technicians, radiochemists, radiopharmacists, and also radiographers and NM technologists who handle these radiopharmaceuticals on a regular basis. They would need to wear TLDs to monitor their fingers and electronic dosimeters for anyone entering the area as well. And in a supervised area, perhaps personal badge by form of TLD and OSL would suffice. Internal exposure needs to be checked, especially for radionuclide therapy and medical surveillance, depending on the regulations of your country. These are some pictures of OSLs, TLDs, and personal dosimeters, and limitations of external exposures of utmost importance, where the situation leading to external exposures when we handle unsealed sources, irradiation from patients, as well as irradiation from radioactive waste needs to be looked at. And this is where ALARA comes in, and this is when proper design of facilities and proper workflow management can cut down the radiation exposure to the staff as well. How to minimize the absorbed dose? Well, very simply, lower the activity, lower would be the exposure the staff would receive, and combining the three principles as we discussed before, and do as much as we can before a patient is injected, following SOPs and appropriate staff training as well. Now, the examples of dose rates, for example, let's just have a recap of what we studied before in school. If you are handling radiopharmaceuticals like the Moly-TC generators, direct contact would give you something like 560 microsievert per hour, and contact at 50 centimeters is 57 microsievert per hour. Once again, inverse square law is helping us here to cut down our exposures, and therefore something like this is totally unacceptable on the right hand side picture, whereas one needs to look at use of trolleys, etc., and syringe shield, vial shields to cut down the exposure to our body as well as extremities. Now, I wish to highlight the AURAMED experiments that were done back in 2008 to 2011, where where the extremity exposure was measured and these are some examples of good practices. This can be downloaded from the intranet. And these are some of the bad practices in dealing with radiopharmaceutical management. Of course, they came up with some recommendations, 10 recommendations to be exact, and mentioned that extremity monitoring is essential, is necessary for those who are handling radiopharmaceuticals and radionuclides, and of course, the limit is 500 millisieverts. Routine monitoring is of utmost importance. And they also looked at which area of the finger would receive the highest exposure. And and the recommendation 4 deals with shielding materials. So even though the injection technique can be superior and can be fast and effective, but syringe shields need to be used all the time to cut down the exposures. And of course, no two nuclides are the same. The emissions from fluorine 18 is it's a beta plus emitter with about kinetic energy of 634 kiloelectron volts, and on its annihilation there are 2 gamma photons of 511 keV are released, a pair of them, and the penetrating ability is far greater than that of conventional nuclear medicine that involves technetium or iodine-131. And you can look at it by the dose equivalent rate constant for soft tissue is about 15 versus 149 for fluorine 18. So it's rather high and sometimes underestimated the risk. This table basically compares the various radionuclides, as you can see, while holding a syringe of technetium of not more than 10 millicuries or 370 megabecquerels, we can get something like 129 for our extremities, and in 4 hours you can reach 500 millisieverts. But that changes when you are handling 511. You can reach that 500 millisieverts in 28 minutes without syringe shields. So this is an important slide to convince everyone that syringe shields are important to be used whenever we handle radiopharmaceuticals. And of course, recommendation 5 and 6 look at minimum syringe shield thickness. No two shields are the same, and not for the same type of radionuclides as well, and similar for the vial shields as well. So appropriate shields need to be utilized. Training and education is the most importance to cut down exposures, and of course 8 will looks at tools that we can use to cut down our exposures, time, that brings us to this slide here. Is this practice of using a lead apron in front of a L shield while handling radiopharmaceutical useful? Well, these are reasons why a lead apron is unnecessary in nuclear medicine. Number one, energy mismatch. Iodine-131 has got 364 kiloelectron volt gamma rays being emitted. The typical lead aprons used in radiology and interventional radiology are about useful for 60 to 120 kVp. Aprons used in radiology are omnidirectional because the X-ray source is in one direction, it's either in front of you or on the side of you, while in nuclear medicine the sources are three-dimensional in the sense that once injected into the patient they are all over the patient, and the gamma rays are emitted 360 degrees around the patient. So apron does not protect the extremities, the neck, the head, the eyes, etc. And it gives the wearer a false sense of safety of using it. And of course, number 4, if you look at the half-value layer mismatch, you would have realized that 360 kiloelectron volt gamma rays require approximately 2.6 millimeters of lead for 50% attenuation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we have in the use of lead apron is 0.25 to 0.5 millimeters of lead. There's a huge disconnect between what is used in radiology and why it cannot be utilized in nuclear medicine. Now, a small point is the bremsstrahlung production due to lead aprons. When we're dealing with beta emitters such as iodine-131 and positron emitters like 511, and for that matter the radionuclide therapy nuclides like actinium and lutetium and yttrium, they are beta emitters, and the use of aprons would increase the production of bremsstrahlung as well. Adding on, the practical alternatives to using a lead apron in nuclear medicine for I-131 management or other nuclides in radionuclide therapy, as well as 511 keV gamma rays from PET, are use distance to maximize the separation from the patient where practical, reduce the time spent close to the patient, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, the contaminant and hygiene toilet instructions for the patients, and the use of mobile or fixed heavy-duty shielding of more than 2 centimeters thick. This would be incognizant with the kind of nuclides that we are using. For example, when you're dealing with iodine 131, we will use 5 to 6 centimeters of lead separating the staff as well as the patient feeding on the radioiodine during administration. So something like this should be utilized even for radionuclide therapy as well as 511 kV injections as well. Now, in a busy PET-CT center with about 20 cases or so, staff body dose exposures can reach 6 millisieverts or so per year. And how do we reduce this relatively high personal radiation exposure per year? Well, a risk assessment needs to be performed, mitigation steps, increase staffing levels, rotate staff to share the doses, so to speak, use automated injections, improve radiation safety, etc. Now, radiation protection of vials, for example, dealing with PET radiopharmaceuticals, they need to use a proper container, such as this, which is about at least about 5 to 10 kilograms in weight in comparison to the vial shields used in technetium in the laboratory. Radiation safety is specific to a particular nuclides. For example, when dealing with 511 keV from gallium or copper 64 or fluorine 18 or carbon 11, one needs to use injector, especially when the workload is very high, and otherwise you have to use appropriate L shields, certainly not the type that we use for technetium. All right, you may have to make customized containers such as this with stainless steel and clad around lead as well, and use the usual containers for transport. Again, the radionuclide use is specific to the kind of shielding that you use, therefore appropriate thickness of the shielding material needs to be utilized, and if something such as a trolley here is very heavy to push, you may have to leverage on electrical motors to help the staff move it around the department. And of course, when we're dealing with 511 kV or PET radio pharmaceuticals, including theranostic radiopharmaceuticals, hot cells isolators need to be utilized, and customized platforms like such as this need to be utilized for injections as well. And avoiding external contamination is of uttermost importance in nuclear medicine. We do not want our staff to ingest radionuclides, especially when you're dealing with alphas and beta emitters. So bear in mind that your carelessness may induce a contamination of your colleagues. So the use of survey meters, pancake survey meters close to sinks would be important so that the staff can assure that they are not contaminated prior to washing their hands and exiting for their meals. And of course, the use of hand and foot monitors is recommended, but these things are not cheap. They're about $40,000 US, whereas a survey meter can be purchased with a much lower price. Radiation safety and compliance at NuclearMed ensure adequate facilities are there, sufficient room sizes for the work that you are intending to do, as well as monitoring using survey meters of the work areas, as well as wipe tests using alcohol swabs or otherwise to check for contamination aspects. Now, contamination is inevitable. All departments have their fair share of contamination, and as you can see in the middle picture, there's contamination that could not be cleaned. There was a fixed contamination on the floor, and that's why we stick this sheet over here, so that's to prevent the spread of contamination. And this infusion pump used for radionuclide therapy, and that was contaminated because of one drop of radiopharmaceutical must have fallen on the infusion pump, just rendering this contaminated. And it's not easy to do a cleanup of a infusion pump. Management of spills, all departments need to have a protocol for this, SOPs, as well as the items that are used for cleanup should be close proximity in every room where you handle radionuclides, for that matter, even if you handle radionuclides in an interventional radiology suite, like in the case of radioembolization of HCC cases. One needs to carry these regular items to the IR suite as well. Okay, decon facilities need to be available, and importantly, building a culture of safety in nuclear medicine. Knowledge gives us competence, competence gives us a safety culture, which helps the excellence of nuclear medicine practice. Foster training, teamwork, communication, accountability, encourage open reporting of incidents, staff monitoring, shielding, and of course the link between ISRRT and IEA partnerships, advancing global practices, e-learning and mentorship, as well as webinars such as this would be helpful in cutting down our exposures as well as to improve our practice of nuclear medicine. Diagnostic imaging are essential for patient treatments and decisions. Any radiation exposure carries some risk, all of us know this, and however, and on average, the risk we encounter in other activities or occupations is far greater than that from radiation. The exposure of physicists, nurses, radiographers, NM technologists, chemists, etc., can be kept well within the annual limits by some simple steps to cut down the exposure. Basically, we need to be very cognizant of the fact that there are always ways of cutting down our exposure, and a risk assessment needs to be performed for every task to cut down exposure. The use of electronic personal dosimeters is very helpful because it gives us a spot reading, a daily reading, or an hourly reading that can help us to mitigate radiation exposures. Primary radiation exposure hazard is the ingestion, and that needs to be controlled in a nuclear medicine department, as I mentioned before, especially in radionuclide therapy as well. The risk is extremely small with the use of routine hospital PPE and staff hygiene regime while handling body fluids of patients. Right? The best approach is to keep it to ALARA. And the key takeaways are role of ISRRT in promoting global standards for radiological practice, unique challenges of nuclear medicine compared to other imaging modalities, harmonization of safety and quality practices matters, especially in resource diverse regions, and of course excellence in nuclear medicine begins with safety, ladies and gentlemen, and every technologist or radiographer is a guardian of radiation safety. And these are my references.
Thank you, Mr. Soma, for a wonderful presentation on the safety of nuclear medicine and the best practice. And it's a very, very important topic, and I think that it's incredibly useful to know what those safety requirements are. Before we go to our next speaker, I just want to apologise to everyone for the disabling of the chat. We have been working to try to get it functioning, but unfortunately, the chat box is not working today for this webinar. So if you do have any questions, please just pop them into the Q&A. Some people are utilising the Q&A process, and please put your questions in there. Just to reiterate, though, the recording of this webinar will be available on the ISRRT website in the next couple of weeks following the webinar, and you will also be able to see it through the Facebook Live process as well. Dr. Kittiwat, let's keep going with the next presentation. Would you like to introduce the next speaker?
Yeah, sure, Steve. Thank you so much. All right, so before we move to the next lecture, so let me introduce our next speaker. All right. So, okay, let me share my screen. Okay. For the next speaker is Associate Professor Dr. Krisanath Chum Samaki. Now he's serving as the Associate Professor and Medical Physicist at the Division of Nuclear Medicine at the Division of Nuclear Medicine at the Faculty of Medicine Rama Thibodi Hospital, Mahidol University. He got a bachelor degree from Chiang Mai University and then master degree in medical physics from Wollongong University, Australia, and earned his PhD from King's College London in UK, where he focused on the small animal SPECT-CT and PET-CT system and for the human equivalent dosimetry. His expertise span for the internal dosimetry, radiation protection, and therapeutic nuclear medicine, where recent work center on the dosimetry for radioactive iodine and lutetium-177 therapy for the theranostic in nuclear medicine. Dr. Krisnath actively contributed to the International Scientific Panel on Internal Dosimetry, Therapeutic Nuclear Medicine, and Radiation Protection. And particularly, currently he serves as the director for the Thailand Anchor Center, a branch of the IAEA, and also the leader for the quality assurance in nuclear medicine of Thailand. Okay, please welcome Dr. Krisnath.
Hello everyone, good evening from Bangkok, Thailand. My name is Krisnath Churmsamaki from the Division of Nuclear Medicine, Department of Diagnostic and Therapeutic Radiology, Faculty of Medicine Rama Thibodi Hospital. Today, I will be talking about elevating standard best practice for quality management in nuclear medicine. Thanks for the ISRT for inviting me. Our goal for the talk today is to understand how we can maintain and continuously improve quality from imaging to patient care to structured quality management system. Today, my talk outline will start from the meaning of the quality management, followed by the importance of the documentation. Then I will talk about the role of nuclear medicine technologists and radiographers in the quality management. Before end of my talk, I will talk about the QUADNUM. This is like the quality management system from the IAEA, followed by summary and the take-home message. What is the quality management? In simple terms, quality management involves all the coordinate activity need to direct and control an organization with respect to the quality. So this is include the equipment management of the quality control and the quality assurance. So this is the part of the quality management. It ensures that every step from planning and equipment operation to patient care meet defined standard and improve over time. So what comes to your mind when you hear about the quality management? You can think in your mind now. I guess some of you think about this image, right? When we talk about quality management, many people immediately think of paperwork, audits, and form. But quality management is not just documentation. It's a mindset. It's about consistency, accountability, and shared goal of patient safety and excellence. So, what I learned from the quality management, from the experience, I have learned that quality management is not equal to documentation. So the documentation is only one part of the system. It supports the training, standardization, and testability. But real quality happens in daily practice when quality control is performed and deviations are reported and correct. So this is the quality management. And why the documentation is important? Documentation is vital because it standardizes training, increase efficiency, minimize error, improve onboarding, and ensure regulatory compliance. A good documentation system allows consistent repeatability and improve performance. For that, I would to give the example. I think everyone went to Starbucks before, right? So Starbucks serves as a good example because every cup of coffee tastes and appearance the same. So Starbucks also pay attention on the customer experience because they have a standard operating procedure or the SOP for everything. So if you went to the Starbucks and you see the barista, you see that the barista need to follow the step according to the SOP in order to prepare the coffee for you to taste the same, and also the appearance needs to be the same as well. Let's back to nuclear medicine. Quality in nuclear medicine is a team effort. It involves the nuclear medicine physician, medical physicist, radiopharmacist, nuclear medicine technologist, nurse, and ISO. Each has a role that contributes to reliable imaging and patient safety. Teamwork is truly make a dream work in nuclear medicine. Where does the quality start? What do you think? Quality starts from the very beginning when your medical physics or your team perform the acceptance test. Also, daily, monthly, and quarterly QC, patient positioning, image acquisition, and data management. The consistency in daily, monthly, and quarterly quality control ensure reliability and minimize error that can cause in nuclear medicine. Technologies are central to quality management. Their key roles include equipment management, positioning, and image acquisition. Also, the data processing and PACS management. Each step affects image quality and patient outcome. For the first one, the equipment management. Equipment management covers the entire life cycle, start from equipment purchase, acceptance testing, equipment usage, quality control and calibration, maintenance and repair, and also the inventory control. So I have summarized the role and responsibility of each professional here. Let's focus on nuclear medicine technology. When purchasing new imaging equipment, nuclear medicine technologies play an important role throughout the procurement and acceptance testing process. First, they help specify technical requirements based on the department, clinical need, and workflow. Their use perspective is crucial for evaluating the equipment functionality, safety, and ease of operation. Technologies also participate in vendor demonstration, observing system performance and workflow compatibility, and providing feedback based on real clinical experience. They work closely with medical physicists to verify that the equipment complies with all technical and safety standards during acceptance testing. Finally, technologies contribute to cost-benefit and usability assessment, ensuring that the selected system not only meets clinical objectives but also supports efficient and safe patient care. In daily practice, nuclear medicine technologies must operate imaging equipment safely, following established protocol and manufacturer guidelines to ensure both patient and operator safety. They also perform routine quality control tests to verify that the system is functioning correctly, checking image quality, resolution, and detector performance. Equally important is to document all quality control results and any collective action taken. This documentation provides traceability and compliance with regulatory and accreditation requirements, ensuring consistent image quality and reliable clinical results. For effective quality management, it is essential to have clear and complete documentation. This includes the equipment manual, which provides operating instructions, and the quality control manual or SOP, which define how routine tests should be performed. Equally important are quality control logs and deviation report, where every test result and corrective action must be recorded. Remember the key principle for quality management. If it's not documented, it doesn't happen. Proper documentation ensures traceability, accountability, and compliance, forming a foundation of a reliable quality management system. For maintenance and repair, nuclear medicine technologies can help to identify and report deviation or equipment malfunction. Also, the monitor equipment performance and identify early sign of malfunction is very important because you will want to notify the medical physicist or the engineer first before the equipment broken. So, the assist during the maintenance or repair visit by providing operational insight is also very vital role for the nuclear medicine technologies. So the next point, I will talk about the positioning and image acquisition. This slide emphasizes one of the most critical aspects of nuclear medicine practice, patient identification and accurate image acquisition. Before any image procedure, it's essential to verify both the patient identify and the procedure detail. This simple step ensure accuracy and more importantly protect patient safety. A report from the UK between 2019 and 2020 revealed that there were 1,200 incidents related to patient misidentification in diagnostic imaging and nuclear medicine. This accounting for nearly 17% for all reported safety incidents. That's a significant proportion and highlight how easily error can occur in routine practice. Common cause include patient with similar name or birth date, a long patient responding to a call name, or cases where no identified band is present, particularly in emergency or pre-admission setting. There are also situations where a nurse or escort provide incorrect identification or the patient is unable to identify themselves. To prevent this error, it's vital that all staff follow the standard operating procedure. Always ask patients to state their full name and date of birth. Confirm this against documentation and verify the procedure detail before proceeding. So the accurate positioning and image acquisition are only meaningful when we start with the right patient and the right procedure. This process not only uphold diagnostic quality but also demonstrate our commitment to safety, accountability, and professional standard in nuclear medicine practice. After the right identification, before imaging, technologists must prepare and position the patient correctly, following the procedure standard operating procedure. During the scan, patients should be monitored closely to maintain comfort and reduce motion artifacts that can degrade image quality. It is also essential to adjust acquisition parameters such as energy window, matrix size, or time per frame according to both the procedure and the patient condition to get the best possible diagnostic result. On the right side, you can see an example of the SOP for MUGA scan. This is a good reminder that if your department use more than one spec, you need to have a separate SOP for each machine. Each system has its own technical specification and image characteristics, so having machine-specific SOP ensure consistency, accuracy, and reproducibility of results across all equipment. Finally, technology should always review the acquired image before releasing the patient to confirm that the study meets quality standards. In data processing, the technologies play a crucial role in ensuring accuracy and consistency of the result. First, it's essential to verify the patient and study information before starting any data processing to avoid errors such as mismatch study or incorrect labeling. Next, technologists must apply the correct processing protocol for each type of examination, for example, using the proper filter, matrix size, and reconstruction method that have been validated for that specific procedure. Equally important is maintaining consistency in the selection of the region of interest, or ROI. For instance, in a MUGA scan, how you draw the ROI around the left ventricle can significantly affect the calculated left ventricular ejection fraction. If the ROI include background activity or exclude part of the ventricle, the left ventricular ejection fraction value may be fairly high or low, leading to potential misinterpretation of cardiac function. That's why standardized ROI pacement and adherence to established protocol are essential, ensuring reliable, reproducible, and clinical accurate results. In this step, the technology is responsible for ensuring that the image reconstruction and filtering are performed correctly to achieve the best possible diagnostic quality. All reconstruction parameters such as the number of iterations, subset, filter, and matrix size must follow the approved protocol or SOP for each study type as shown in the table on the left. After reconstruction, technology should carefully review the process image for any artifact or inconsistency, for example, motion, truncation, or attenuation correction error, before the physician interpretation. This quality check ensures that physicians are working with accurate and reliable data. Finally, any software or data abnormality encountered during process should be properly documented and reported, as this supports traceability, troubleshooting, and continuous quality improvement. Let me briefly explain the history of the IAA quality audit. The IAA has developed several audit programs to ensure quality and safety in medical imaging and nuclear medicine. One of the key initiatives is QUADNAM, which stands for Quality Management Audit in Nuclear Medicine Practice. Because of growing global demand for radiology and nuclear medicine service, quality system and regular audits have become essential to maintain patient safety and improve clinical outcome. The IAA began its series of clinical audit programs with QUADTO for radiotherapy in 2005, followed by QUADNAM in 2006 for nuclear medicine, and QUADRIL in 2010 for diagnostic radiology. Each audit follows a structured approach. First, department perform a self-assessment of their practice, policy, procedure, and clinical data. Then, a multidisciplinary team of external auditors visit the site to confirm that both equipment and clinical process are working as intended. Finally, the team provide recommendations and the institution work to implement these improvements, helping build a culture of continuous quality enhancement in medical imaging and nuclear medicine. QUADNAM was started in 2006 at the IAA. So IAA called the expert group composed of multidisciplinary team of nuclear medicine physicians, medical physicists, nuclear medicine technologists, and radiopharmacists to develop the quality management audit manual. And the first QUADNAM manual was released in 2009. The second manual was released in 2012. And in 2021, the third QUADNAM manual was released. So you can follow this QR code to go to Human Health Campus website to download the update version of the QUADNAM version 3 for the quality management manual. QUADNAM version 3.0 is the latest tool developed by the IAA for auditing nuclear medicine practice. So please keep in mind that I think version 4.0 is in the pipeline now. So this version is provide independent quality audit through comprehensive review of both clinical and managerial aspects of nuclear medicine services. The process is based on peer review where experts evaluate each other practice to ensure consistency, safety, and quality. Ultimately, QUADNAM Health Center apply good clinical practice by identifying areas for improvement and promoting a continuous quality culture in nuclear medicine. This slide illustrated the overall workflow of nuclear medicine department as defined in the QUADNAM framework. At the top are the management process, which includes strategic planning, human resources, and management review. This ensures the department operation align with institutional goal and standard. In the middle, we have the primary process, which represent the core clinical flow from customer service and patient reception through technical process such as patient preparation, image acquisition, processing, and reporting to the final delivery of the result. Supporting these are the support process at the bottom: radiopharmacy, medical physicists, purchasing, safety, quality system, maintenance, and waste management, which provide the essential infrastructure for smooth and safe operation. Altogether, this process map show how every component from management to clinical practice work together to maintain quality, safety, and patient-centered service in nuclear medicine. To access the Quantum tool, simply go to the IAA website under the Human Health Campus. From there, select the Quantum page, and you will find the option to download the Quantum tool as shown here in the middle of the slide. Once you click Download Quantum 3.0 Checklist, you will receive an Excel file that contains the complete audit template. This Excel tool is used to enter audit information, record findings, and generate structured report for each section of the quality management audit. This slide shows an example of the Quantum audit checklist used for evaluating nuclear medicine practice. Each checklist contains specific questions related to the work of nuclear medicine technologists. For example, it covers areas such as patient identification, patient preparation and positioning, as well as image acquisition and processing. It also includes sections on quality control of radiopharmaceutical and imaging equipment to ensuring that every step from patient handling to image analysis follows the standard operating procedure. By checking each item, department can systematically verify compliance and identify areas for improvement. To wrap up, the essence of quality management in nuclear medicine can be summarized as teamwork, consistency, and accountability. Every step in the workflow, from equipment purchase, patient preparation, image acquisition, to final report, directly affect patient safety and diagnostic accuracy. Documentation plays an important role, but it's not the ultimate goal. Instead, it serves as the foundation for continuous improvement, ensuring traceability, compliance, and the ability to learn from past performance rather than simply creating bureaucracy. Finally, the Quantum system brings all these principles together. It provides a structured, evidence-based framework that integrates quality management into daily clinical operation. By following Quantum, nuclear medicine department can deliver more consistent, safe, and high-quality service, building a true culture of quality that benefits both patient and professional. So this is my last slide. This image reminds us that quality should not be something we only focus on during the audit, not a quick fix approach. Instead, quality must become a part of our everyday culture. Sometimes we practice before, during, and after the audit. So the key message is that quality is a journey, not a one-time achievement. It's about continuous improvement, teamwork, and commitment, not just preparing for inspection, but building lasting excellence. Thank you for your attention.
Dr. Krishnat, for your wonderful lecture regarding for the best practice for the quality assurance in nuclear medicine. So, Steve, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I think we got many questions from the audience regarding for the lecture from our invited speaker. So I got some of the question. Soma?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much again for your wonderful lecture regarding for the best practice for the radiation protection in nuclear medicine.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I got like a question regarding for the from the our participant.
Yes, I've answered some of them already.
Yeah, I saw that Soma answered some of
yes.
them. Yeah.
There's one here. You think I can read it and answer that question as well?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. There's a question here. It says from an anonymous attendee, is it possible to get a quantum certificate though we don't have a radio pharmacist or a chemist? The answer is yes, we can. You can do that. One thing I want to highlight is maybe Krishnat can also echo in as well. You don't get a certificate upon achieving a quantum audit. The certificate is not provided by the IAEA, but you get a score, as what Krishnat had mentioned. That score is basically how you did, and that helps you to quantitatively assess how you can perform better the next time around, perhaps a year later, etc. So answering your question specifically, you do not require a radiochemist or radiopharmacist because the quantum does not expect the full complement of the staff levels in a nuclear medicine department. They look at minimum levels, for example. So a radiographer trained and competent in working in the laboratory would suffice and would be more than enough to especially if they are doing the roles accurately in delivering, accepting the pharmaceuticals, and the use of radiopharmaceuticals is more than enough as well. So yes, once again, even if you don't have the full complement of the staffing levels in nuclear medicine, you can still practice, you can still ask for a quantum audit, etc. Krishnat, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I think most of the quantum checklist, they focus on the competency. So they not focus on the professional and it's like the degree. So most of the checklist is focused on the competency. If you have like the minimum competency according to the checklist, I think that is fine for the quantum.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's very important and very interesting. So regarding for the quantum, Dr. Krishnat, so for the center that never done or never passed for the quantum before, so if they would like to audit for the quantum, so how for the first step, how to start for this? Did you have any recommendation?
Yeah, I think basically as I give the information of the website, I think start with the manual and then you can start the self-assessment from the checklist because this kind of checklist is you can do the self-assess. And I think if you follow the checklist is item, so you can improve your quality. And then if you have like the certain point, maybe you can apply for the quantum, but I'm not sure the direction of the quantum in the future. Maybe if Soma know more, I think because they might change the direction a little bit to maybe I'm not sure that in the future they still have like some physical quantum or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be an online sort of quantum to be more sustainable, so that you don't need to get experts from across the world to come and audit you. So you may have to do certain things online and then perhaps show the results on a platform or something, which I don't know. I have no access to that. And then it can be assessed by externally. So that way it can keep the cost down and also have the far-reaching aspects. And I think you can contact the IAEA Human Health Division if you need more further information on the quantum aspects.
Yeah.
I think there's
yeah, thank you very much for very nice suggestion. Yeah, this is very important for those who like to start for the quantum in order to improve the quality management in their nuclear medicine center.
Yes. Dr. Kittiwatt, I think Soma nicely answered one question that is, I think is very important and maybe good to know for other participants. I think some participants ask about, do we need to have more than one work instruction if we use the different machine to perform the same procedure. So I think for the quality management point of view, it's slightly different between the SOP and the WI, the work instruction. I think for the quality management with the work instruction,
I think, Krishna, I can't hear you.
We can hear you, Krishna.
okay?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, now you're.
Yeah, I think the question they ask about, do we need to have more than one work instruction or SOP to have, if we have like perform the same study on different machine? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Soma already mentioned this, but I think it's good to tell everybody that different equipment or model, they have the unique technical characteristic or the setting. So for the work instruction, for the quality management point of view, the separate imaging work instruction are needed to optimize the image quality and also the accuracy of the e-system.
Yeah. So Soma, you have any suggestion for this or any?
Yes. I think we need to differentiate between an SOP and work instructions, because work instructions are like a menu when you're doing a favorite meal. You very specific, 2 tablespoons or etc. So work instructions would give you pretty much a step-by-step approach, and it would be equipment specific, whereas an SOP is a more global document, which just tells you, for example, bone scan acquisition. Put a patient on the couch and use your selected protocol for bone scan and go ahead with it. It's not so equipment specific as well. There are ways of doing it. There's no real hard and fast rule that's recommended. What works for you is what you can use as well. You can have annexes to a document which looks at the peculiarity of the different equipment that you use. But in general, SOPs do not drill down to the model of the machine. In a Mediso, what you do versus a Philips or otherwise.
Yeah, so I like to think of an SOP as a policy and a set of instructions as a procedure.
Yep.
So we might refer to them as policies and procedures as 2 separate entities, I think, anyway.
Yep.
Mr. Soma, I do have another question for you as well. And, I hear a lot of other hospitals around the world having concerns as far as treating patients who have had nuclear medicine scans. And I think they're worried around the other parts of the hospital about the patients being too radioactive and then they're not being treated. And I think that really affects the access to care and the timely access to care that these patients can actually have. So what kind of advice would you give to nuclear medicine technologists to answer those types of queries?
Sure. I think it's a very valid question. I also had it in my own hospital about a couple of months ago. I had to give a briefing to the radiographers in diagnostic radiology. I looked at the literature review on this aspect of segregating nuclear medicine patients and not allowing nuclear med patients to go for a radiology procedure thereafter, after the injection. So we looked at it and we really found that there was only a small select group of radiology staff who may be in close proximity as well as for a long period of time. For example, ultrasonographers who may need to be in close proximity, perhaps less than half a meter away from these patients when they do an ultrasound of the patient who has been injected. That's the only group, according to literature review, who may need to have a different day procedure come from the nuclear medicine scan. Other than that, if it's any other procedure where the radiographer spends less than, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes on the patient, the exposure that they receive would far less and it won't be significant. And in fact, it would be less than the 1 millisievert for a public as well. We can do a comparison as well and mention that the nuclear medicine radiographers get a certain exposure, which is about order of about 2 to 3 times more than that of a diagnostic radiographer or radiation therapy therapist. That would another way of explaining, because an NM physician, NM technologist or radiographer would spend like 8 hours a day and get X number of millisieverts, which may be a third of or 3 times that of a diagnostic radiographer.
Yeah, and I think one of the examples that I had actually heard was of an anaesthetist, I think, that was concerned because they were going to be in close proximity with the patient while they underwent a surgical procedure.
Yeah.
After a nuclear medicine scan. But I think you're right. What it really comes back to is how we use the ALARA principle, one of which, of course, is time, and making sure that we're actually limiting the time. We can't necessarily limit the dose or anything like that, but we can certainly limit the time that we're actually around the patient at that time as well. I've actually noticed in the chat that there's been a couple of questions regarding careers, I guess, in nuclear medicine and how you can actually get a career in nuclear medicine. The simple answer to that is that it varies from country to country. So I'm from Australia, and in Australia we have nuclear medicine as a separate profession from radiography and from radiation therapy. There are other countries where nuclear medicine is embedded within a radiography degree as well. So my advice, I guess, is to check the local rules, I guess, in your own country and looking at the different university courses that may offer nuclear medicine as part of their course and study as well. Kitty Watt, do you have any more questions to ask?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of the question, from the audience, but I think we can select just only some question to our speaker. This one I think is quite very interesting question about. So let me see. Yeah, regarding for the if in some study, like for the bone scan, for the cardiac imaging in nuclear medicine, which is used like is quite low activity and low exposure, can we inject the activity without like the syringe shield, or if we use like the D10 instead? So Soma, can you, I think maybe this question is for you.
I was too busy typing the answer for another question. Sorry about that.
I think better to use the signing shield.
Right. Everyone agree that.
Yes,
everyone is key, even if I don't.
Yeah, to convince anyone who's not using a syringe shield, say, can you run faster than a gamma ray? Because it travels at the speed of light, so therefore you need to be prepared before you open up the syringe or start injecting. So it's really important of the syringe shield, and there are some calculations that we can show you, which makes huge difference about with and without the syringe shields. And I have one point to mention as well, which I forgot to mention. There are two hazards in nuclear medicine of handling nuclear medicine patients. One is the exposure, as all of you had mentioned, as Steve has asked a question as well, exposure from the patient. And the second is the contamination possibility with the body fluids of the NM patient. So that is a far bigger issue that we have. So, but they can be easily handled, because what worked for COVID will certainly work for looking after NM patients and ensuring that the contamination is not in the radiology room or X-ray room or CT room. So once again, body fluid, when you're handling body fluids, PPE is essential, gloves for sure, so that to ensure that the contamination is kept at bay. Thank you. And
I think sorry, I was going to say, I think if you're not going to be using a syringe shield, then if you can see this syringe shield, it's already got you.
Yes, by the time.
Yeah, I just do the quick finding on the Google. So for the unchilled technetium, for I think for 1 millicurie, if you receive at 1 centimeter, you will receive around 7.4 millisievert per hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of questions on quantum and frequency by Melvin from the Philippines, and I've answered them on, I hope it's satisfactorily answered. In essence, you could utilize the quantum checklist, which is, as what Krisnath had mentioned, it is very exhaustive and it has got 200 over questions. You can use parts of them. You can use maybe checklist 1 for first year and the following year. You can use, it's really optional and up to you. So you can go through it and use them according to how it will suit you.
Thank you very much. Just to wrap up, before we finish, there were some questions as well about the certificates and about how you actually access the certificates for today's webinar. These will be posted on the ISRT website in 2 weeks' time. And you will also find that they will be provided in a link to your email following today's webinar as well. And you might also be able to find them in the ISRT Facebook page also. Mr. Soma, Dr. Krisnath, thank you very much for taking the time, giving us your presentations. It was a wonderful webinar to have a look at. And I'd also like to just remind everyone that on November the 12th, there will be our next webinar, which will be to help to celebrate World Radiography Day. And we are going to be talking a lot about advanced practice during that webinar, and there'll be more information coming your way through our social media channels very, very soon. Professor Kittiwat, thank you very much for your input today and for introducing everyone. It's been wonderful to see everyone online, and a very, very good turnout for this nuclear medicine webinar. So that's wonderful to see. And someone actually also mentioned in the chat that they'd like to see more of these types of ones and that. So Kittiwat, you've got some work to do to put these together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone for tonight. Yeah. and I hope that all of you will enjoy the lecture from our expert. Yeah. For those who expertise in nuclear medicine, for the best practice in radiation protection, and also for the quality assurance in nuclear medicine. Yes. Okay. I hope that you will got a lot of the informative and got a lot of the knowledge regarding for the quality assurance in nuclear medicine and radiation protection in nuclear medicine. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.